So this video will explain how this worksheet is made. Unfortunately, it would take probably over an hour to go into detail about every single thing within this process. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to highlight the key parts of it so that you are able to sort of either do your own research or get an idea roughly of how this sheet works so that you can start manipulating it yourself. So as previously, what happens is you put in the manager's name, Mr. Manager, Mr. Foreman, oops. And then if you put an employee's name in here, so Adam Czarnecki, and you generate the review, a review will be generated down here, and then you can start filling out that person's information, and we've gone over that. If you want to see how that sheet works, just click on this video up here. So how was this generated? Unfortunately, you do have to know code. The easiest thing to tell you that as long as you put in the names here and then you have a template, you are able to use this sheet. So just by doing a little bit of manipulation on the template, you will be able, just without having to do a lot of coding and that sort of thing, you will be able to change it. So where's the template? The template is actually hidden. So if you right click on one of the tabs and go unhide, it'll show you the technician's template. So here is the template. All right, so that's the template, and it is protected. So as you can see, when I'm clicking on a whole bunch of stuff, it actually doesn't do anything, so it's protected. The way you unprotect it is right click and go unprotect sheet, and now it is protected. You can actually do a lot of damage by deleting things and that sort of thing. So that's why it's protected. And there's also information hidden. So if you go on H and go over to BF, right click and on hide, you will see all the magic that happens. Now I've also changed the height just for aesthetics. So what I think we can do is if I go row height and I do 10, let's do 15. You'll actually see, the reason why I did that, I wanted to show you all the sort of other things that are happening in the background here. Because otherwise it won't make sense. All right, so how does all this work? Well, there's a number of steps that take place. Using check marks is one. So when you do a check mark, now let's actually zoom in here. So you can sort of see what's going on. So when you do a check mark, a rule actually comes in place where it says that if there is one check, then show me a check mark, or sorry, then disappear. If there's two check marks, then show me this exclamation mark, which tells me that there's something wrong. There's also, so with the check marks, what ends up happening over here is a check mark is actually just a true and false statement. So when I check off, these cells actually are linked to this check mark that says it's either true or false. So if it's unchecked, it's false. If it's checked, it's true. If you right click on the right spot and go format controls, it'll once you create a check mark, you can then link it to a cell, and you click on here, link it to there, and hit enter, and now that cell is linked to that one. And what I've done is I've actually created check marks for each one of these cells. So this one's linked to this one's linked to that, and so on and so forth. So what I have here is, as I had 5 check marks, I have 5 true and false statements here that just says true or false depending on whether there's a check mark or not. And then I have a rule. And the rule says that if it's false, leave it blank. If it's true, go up here and put in the value of what that true statement is. So what ends up happening is when I check off true here, what happens is I have a single check mark, so I'm going to disappear. I have 1 check mark, so I'm going to tell them that it's okay. There's nothing in the the 4th column or the 5th column, so it's false. I have a check mark in the 3rd one, so it's true, and then false, 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 and all these rules are the same. If there's a blank, if there's a false, leave it blank. If there's a true, turn it to the upper value here. So as you can see, it is now 3 here, a 3 total here. And all of this works exactly the same way all throughout. So if I go here, 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 I now have a total rating of 3. Oops. So total rating of 3, and what it's actually done is it turned these true and false statements to actual numbers. So once it turns it to actual numbers, we get a score. And there actually is a rule here that says, I actually have, for here, it says that if I see 5 check marks, give me a score of 5. So this allows me to, when only it's completed correctly, will it show up here. And so it says if K9 equals to 5, then go to M37. So what's M37? M37 is actually just the average of these scores here. And so that's how it's calculated. So you take it from a check mark to a true and false statement. From a true and false statement, you turn it into a number, and from the number you are able then to manipulate it to an average. And all those averages are added up, and the final thing, it says that if there's 5 check marks, then it's a 5, and therefore you can look at the value of M37 and put the value of M37 there. This is the same rules that are applied to all the different sections within this spreadsheet. So let me just go back to everything that I've done, which it can't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause. All right, so we're back here. I've just sort of reformatted the sheets again so that you can sort of see how it is all working. And really, one of the things that I realized in Excel is I always wanted to do too much in one cell. And ultimately, what you have to do is either use a separate sheet or use additional sort of hidden formulas and things away for it to be sort of nice and neat and that sort of thing. So the other thing that is occurring in, I showed you the rule of the check marks and changing true and false statements to numbers and that sort of thing. And the same thing applies to here. So what I've done is I just froze this panel here so that a manager can just sort of go up and down and sort of have the summary up top. And all it's taking on these ones is going to the final number and then just putting that final number in these sheets. What I also have here is an actual lookup. So if you see here, it says VLOOKUP F15 M109 to N27. I highly recommend you check up on lookups. It is a phenomenal tool, especially if you have a lot of variables. So from here, what I can do is actually score the efficiency of a technician, and it will actually automatically rate that technician. And the VLOOKUP looks like it's down here somewhere because I ran out of room. That's what it looks like. And so you start from the lowest denominator to the highest, and then you give it the scores that you feel it needs to be given. And again, just Google VLOOKUP on how to do it. It's a great tool, especially for multiple variables. So just like with the ones here, the final score will not show up until you've actually done everything that needs to be done on all the rating systems. Oops. So as you can see, we filled out everything, but it's still not giving the final score. We do have to put the name, the position, and again, the position here is just a drop down. The drop down's right here. And how to do a drop down, again, just Google how to do a drop down. And then we see the final score. Now, how does that work? Well, how it works is there's actually rules here. And what the rules say is count these cells, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there's 6 of them, or 7, sorry, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, let's, so 7, once everything is showing up, then show the final score. There's another rule here, so it shows D13, D15, F. There's a rule here for actually these ones. So these ones, if all of them are filled out, then it gives me a score of 4. If not, it doesn't. And so you're able to sort of use if statements and count functions in order to wait until all the data is entered in order to do it, in order to show the final score. So, like I said, this video isn't a step-by-step instructions on how to build this. It sort of just is giving you some ideas of what's involved in order to create something like this. If you check off, if you just look at the worksheet, look at the rules, when you see a rule you don't understand, just click on top and it'll actually highlight everything that it's looking at. And it'll give you a better idea of how you can manipulate it. Ultimately, if you don't want to play around with it and you just want to use it as is, all you truly have to do is you just have to change these criteria into criteria that you want to use or not use, and really then you can use this as your own. Otherwise, you'll have to do a little bit of customization in order to make it more meaningful for you. Hopefully this kind of helps you sort of see what you need to do in order to create something like this for yourselves. Good luck.